I can't believe what they just did. You've got Shea Gilgeous-Alexander trying to get to the basket, and rookie Stephon Castle just telling him no. You've got Keldon Johnson reminding people as to why he was a Spurs favorite a couple years back, punching on people, leading the way. Harrison Barnes looking like a key piece to the roster, and of course, CP3 icing games. You've got a San Antonio Spurs massive upset win, plus 380. You've got a massive Spurs upset win that we're going to discuss, explain, break down all of it here on Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. And guys, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, take a spur of the moment to get every Spurs moment, grow with this channel and grow with us. We appreciate everyone who has, everyone who tunes in. We appreciate all of you guys, but you know what we're here for. It's not for anything crazy. It's not for trying to push agendas that we don't push. What we are here for is this. We're here for Spurs basketball. Look at this guy, Keldon Johnson, Kevin Harlan, Reggie going crazy. Look at this guy. He's flight, and you can see that in him. You can see the newfound energy within that guy. But shout out to the San Antonio Spurs for the 110-104 win against the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder tried to make it close towards the end. They really got on one of those runs, but unlike the Lakers game, where there was some late game execution that didn't happen, in this game, it did happen. Whether it was a little wonky and Chris Paul coming through, or it was Zach Collins hitting something big, we did come through in the end. But Johnson, Barnes helped Spurs fend off the hard-charging Thunder for their first NBA Cup victory. Shout out. First NBA Cup victory. Took technically a year and some change, but you know what? We got it anyway. Look at this. You see 7 people in double figures. This game we thought, when I did a prediction show, I was talking about the pregame, or more so a pregame show, talking about how the Spurs were going to win this game, and I thought Wemby was going to be out. He was doubtful. Of course, Sochan's out, and I'm like, okay, cool. We've got Stephon Castle, and this is going to be a big moment for Devin Vassell. Devin Vassell, he's out too. Okay, so your first, second, and third best players going into the season are all gone. And I understand that Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein's missing from the Thunder, but Hartenstein hasn't played a second in a Thunder jersey. They've played without him, and they've obviously played games without Chet before. Chet's a very big piece of that puzzle, but they're still 11 now and 4 for a reason. They also have Alex Caruso they got in the offseason. They've got pieces. They got players on that roster. But I said before the game there was a poll that went up. Who was going to have the most threes? Was it going to be Stephon Castle? Was it going to be Julian Champagnie? Was it going to be Devin Vassell or an other? And that other happened to be Keldon Johnson, 6 of 12 from the three-point line. You had Charles Bassey coming in. He was 5 of 6 catching lobs from Stephon Castle. I understand Stephon Castle had 7 turnovers, and I get that that's not the style of play. But the thing about his turnovers was he was trying to force a little bit of an issue, at the same time trying to do things to where he was actually making plays and just making the wrong play at that time. They're aggressive turnovers. They're not careless or stupid ones. I mean, of course, a couple of them are careless, but like they're more aggressive turnovers where it's like, oh, I'm going to try to push the ball down the court and just miss it, or I'm going to throw that lob and throw it over your head. And you're okay with a rookie having those type of turnovers, but he ended with 8 assists, showcasing his playmaking ability, able to get downhill. Chris Paul, 14 and 11. You saw the great of Chris Paul in this game, 4 of 7 from 3. Harrison Barnes had 20 points, 8 rebounds. He's 3 of 7 from 3. Champagnie hit a couple. Everybody who played that actually shoots threes other than Mamu hit a couple. He didn't even take one. So 19 of 46 from the three-point line, 19 on 41% shooting. That's going to get it done always. The one thing that won't, and the one thing that almost killed them, especially early on, turnovers. We can't have that many turnovers. 21 turnovers can't happen. As we spoke to with Stephon Castle, obviously Paul had 4. And when you have moving parts, you're going to naturally have some of those. And the Thunder are a very good defensive team. But The way the Spurs competed and battled in this game was great. They held the Thunder to 41% shooting. They held the Thunder only getting to the line and shooting 7 free throws on the game. That is a very big accomplishment. And then across the board, it was pretty even. Their fouls were even. Fast break points is where the Thunder really got an advantage, and that's really how they got back in the game, because the points in the paint were there. You had obviously the assists. The Spurs had more assists, but they did have more turnovers, so that kind of balances it out. But overall, this is a massive win, and you saw it from the greatness of Keldon Johnson, the greatness of Chris Paul ending games. Obviously, we saw the block that Stephon Castle has, showing his instant impact on the NBA. Zach Collins had a huge shot down the stretch. He could have had a huge lob, but Stephon Castle missed him on that lob. But the Thunder did close on a 27-12 run, but were unable to score in the final minute. That is lockdown, and that's without your 3 best players and 2 of your 3 best defenders. Like, Sochan and Wemby might be 1 and 2 on their best defender list, and honestly, the way Castle's playing right now, Castle might be their 3rd. Obviously, Vassell's still a very good defender too, so like not even trying to absolve him from that. But Castle, the way he's playing defense, you can see it. Obviously, he had that great block on Shea. You had Chris Paul 14-11. That three-pointer at the end of the shot clock to make it 107-98 proved to almost be the difference in this game, because if they miss that shot or it's a shot clock violation or whatever, Shea came down and hit a 3. That would have made it 104-101 instead of 107-101. That changes the entire complexion of the remainder of the game. Not that they couldn't have pulled it out, but it still would have changed it. Chris Paul doing what Chris Paul does, and that's coming in and making big shots and big moments for this roster. Obviously missing Vassell and Wemby. Wemby recovering from the bruised knee. Vassell has a sore left knee. They're going to take their precautions with those two, especially Vassell with him just coming off of an injury, and that makes sense. You want to make sure that he's okay 100% before you bring him back into the fold consistently. It's okay. And especially when the bench is playing like that and playing in this style of game, you're okay with it. But Thunder force 13 turnovers in the first half. They only able to force 7 more in the second half. That was a big part of it too. They weren't able to. They did not turn the ball down the stretch. Think back to that Lakers game. So you had, obviously, Wemby took the ill-advised shot. Stephon Castle took the sidestep 3, but they were getting points there. They didn't have the bad possessions. The sidestep 3 happened to be Chris Paul, and he bailed him out. But otherwise, down the stretch, the Spurs were actually playing some pretty solid, fine, refined basketball for a young team. I understand, obviously, everything's not going to be a bucket. Everything's not going to be great. But when you get good shots and good opportunities on each possession, that is what's going to help propel you forward. And these are the games that you're going to look back like, hey, without Wemby, without Sochan, without Vassell, we beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. They tried to push back, and then we got the big 3 from Chris Paul. We didn't let them score in the last minute. Castle's making plays defensively. Zach Collins is hitting shots. These are the games you look back to. Mitch Johnson did a good job as well, but these are the games you look back to as a player, as a coach, as an organization, where you can say, hey, let's take something from this. Guys, you remember this moment? You remember what happened here? Okay, let's go on. Let's move forward from that. But I want to just, one more time. Golly. All right, shout out to Keldon Johnson. He had a great game, reminding the Spurs fans of what his value to this team can be. He is still, obviously, there's still the adjustment of being the first, second, third, fourth option, but what was he tonight? Off the bench, he was clearly the first option, and really on the floor, he's the best one-on-one scorer they had tonight. So you know what he did? He went on a scoring spree, did not think about it, just went out there and did what Keldon Johnson does. What he needs to do now is take his mentality when it is he's the best scorer on the floor, or one of, and take that to put that within the team confinements and be able to pick his spots. Because once he's able to pick his spots and play like that, then we got something scary over here. But Let me know what you guys thought about the Spurs victory over the Thunder. Is there something to take from it? Is it really nothing to take from it? I think that this is a big win because it's a big step for a lot of these young guys who are showing that they can play at a high level, and you finally get yourself a chance to actually advance in the Emirates Cup. They would have lost this game, this wouldn't have mattered, but you're going to give yourself a chance to advance now if you can get to 3-1. I know you have a Lakers game coming up here soon and another game, but you have an actual chance to advance here. So let me know what you guys thought about the game in the comments, what takeaways you had from the Spurs victory over the Oklahoma City Thunder. Again, this has been Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon.